2025 at 5:30 p.m. for the following resolution, ordinance, and new business. City of Manchester Board of Mayor and Aldermen Special Call Board Meeting Agenda, City Hall Boardroom, May 15, 2025, now at 5:30 p.m. To Vice Mayor Messick, Alderman French, Alderman Anderson, Alderman Threet, Alderman Crossland, and Alderman Parsley. Pursuant to a call by Mayor Joey Hobbs, there will be a special call Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting on tonight, Thursday, May 15th at 5:30 for the following. A resolution authorizing a contract to sublease the conference center from the Manchester Public Building Authority, sponsored by Alderman Crossland. And under ordinances, a first reading of an ordinance of the City of Manchester adopting a budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, sponsored by Mayor Hobbs. New business, Board of Mayor and Alderman Committee and Commission assignments signed by all 6 aldermen present.
Okay, we've already done the roll. Looks like everybody's present. Do we have any citizen comments? Seeing none. Resolutions?
All right. Before we get to the voting, I've been asked to talk about a part of our Code of Ethics, which is Chapter 8 in our city code. And this comes up every year, just so everybody understands what it means. If an alderman or a voting member of a governing body, and under our code or really state statute, if you have an indirect interest or a personal interest as defined under our code, even if it's not you directly, but indirectly as a family member that's described by our code, you're supposed to disclose that personal interest and potential conflict on the record, and that if you do so, you still have the right to vote on it, or you have the right, obviously, to recuse yourself. And that's something I try to go through every year. So that's found at Manchester Municipal Code 1-802 and 803. And then again, there's a state statute and case law that governs direct interest and indirect interest. Any questions for me on that? Okay. So with that said, I guess now would be the appropriate time to declare if you have any interest, indirect interest or otherwise, before we vote on these matters. Okay.
I'll make a declaration for an indirect conflict, potential conflict with my wife being the executive director of the Manchester Coffee County Conference Center, even though she is a employee of the PBA and not an employee of the city.
Yes, and thank you for that, because it does include any votes that pertain to an immediate family member's employment with the city, i.e. voting on a budget, whatever. So just stating that for clarity.
You know, Craig, in my case also, I have a wife that is employed by the city, let it be acknowledged.
Okay?
And Craig, my daughter is a city employee.
Very well. And so for the record, 3 aldermen declare an indirect interest, and then, of course, it's up to them whether they recuse themselves or not. Okay, thank you. So the first resolution up for vote tonight under A is a resolution authorizing a contract to sublease the conference center from the Manchester Public Building Authority, which is sponsored by Alderman Crossland, and I've been asked to read that and answer any questions that any alderman may have. Whereas the City of Manchester is part owner of a property known as the Conference Center located at 147 Hospitality Boulevard, Manchester, Tennessee, and whereas the City of Manchester, Coffee County, Tennessee, and the Manchester Public Building Authority are parties to an agreement that is dated December the 11th, 2020, that allows the Public Building Authority to subcontract the operations of the premises to others. And whereas the City of Manchester has determined that in the best interest of the city, it would be beneficial to operate the conference center directly through an appropriate department as outlined in the attached agreement that you have before you with the Public Building Authority. Resolution goes on to state that now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Manchester, Tennessee, that the City of Manchester contract to sublease the premises known as the Conference Center located at 147 Hospitality Boulevard, Manchester, Tennessee, per the attached agreement, and that it's also resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that the mayor be authorized to enter into any contract or documents in furtherance of this resolution. And there is an attached agreement. It's pretty simple. Basically, in short, there's an agreement back from 2020 between Coffee County, Manchester, and the Manchester Public Building Authority, where Coffee County and Manchester, being part owners in that premises, made an agreement with the Manchester Public Building Authority for them to operate the conference center as a lessee. That contract also contemplates that as long as the conference center is operated as a conference center, and it gives out certain parameters on what that definition means, it also says that the PBA can contract with others to operate it, and as long as they meet those parameters, then that agreement stays in effect. And that is what this lease does, allows for the PBA to contract with a third party, that being the City of Manchester, to operate said premises as a conference. I know there's other issues about where money comes from and all that stuff, but there is no lease payment per se being paid by Manchester to the Public Building Authority. They're just taking on obligations of the PBA in regards to operations of the conference in this lease, and that is the consideration.
So here in the resolution, do we have a motion and a second? You there? So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments? Alderman Anderson?
Is the PBA in agreement with this contract?
Yes, we met with their board on Tuesday night, and they are in agreement. Yes.
It seems kind of odd to me that they're leasing it from us and then we lease it back to them. I know at your finance meeting, there were 3 options discussed. Personally, I would have liked to see all 3 options on this agenda so that we could all discuss them as a board. I know that this is a situation where there's a lot of room for improvement, but I'm not convinced that this is the right step to take. So I'm leaning towards no, unless someone else can convince me that this is going to somehow improve accountability.
So to answer your original question, this is what was passed at Budget and Finance as one of the 3 options, and that's what's in the budget tonight. The operational part of it will come back to the city, to where the Board of Mayor and Aldermen get to make the decisions on a lot of the finances of how the money's spent. So if this doesn't pass, then we will go to the next part in the budget, and you'll be able to voice your opinions on option 2 and 3. Any other comments or questions?
Mayor, I will say, I've spent some time with the P&L, the profit and loss ledger, and the finances from the conference center, and there is no doubt that there are accountability issues, that business as has been conducted, I think, has to change. But I do see it as an establishment that can be profitable, actually. And I know that may surprise some people hearing it, but when you look through the P&L, there are pretty obvious opportunities to really change the financial standing. That's my opinion, and I'll be happy to have that discussion, to show what my thoughts are. But I do see it as viable.
Okay. And to further that a little, by it becoming a city department, some of the things that they have to do external will become internal city functions. Finance would go to the finance department, maintenance would go to public works. So there is some gain on the money that you invest every year by them being a city department. Any more comments or questions?
At this point right here, Mayor, does the Public Building Authority still have any involvement?
So they would not. If this is passed, like I said, and this is a stopgap. I mean, the long-term strategy, if we decide to operate it as a city, is to renegotiate with the county. If you don't, then the center has to not exist while we do that. And I think it is bad for their business to have to cancel anything when we have the opportunity for long-term agreement with the county, and then we would dissolve the PBA. This is just a stopgap in the process of us working straight with the county. Anybody else? Okay, let's vote, please. So the vote is 3-2 with 1 abstain. So the motion fails. Who abstained, did it say? Alderman 3. Okay.
I'll read it.
Yeah, so ordinances?
Ordinance A, first reading of an ordinance of the City of Manchester, Tennessee, adopting a budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026, sponsored by Mayor Hobbs.
So as presented, like I said, the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee, in your budget, if you'll look, we had $175,000 allotted for the operations of the conference center. So at this time, I would like to amend the budget and offer the donation to the PBA board at $350,000. And then we can vote on that and then go from there. So did everybody get what I just said, right? So the budget that you have before you was with the operations of the conference center under the city with a donation or a seed money of $175,000. So I would like to revise that, since the ordinance didn't pass, to a donation to the conference center and PBA of $350,000 as asked.
So I have a question, Mayor.
Yep.
Does this mean we're not gonna try to continue to pull the conference center in and get rid of the way it's operating now?
I mean, I think that would be the wishes, right? Why you abstain on a vote, I guess, is strategic, right? But that's where we are tonight. So, but, I mean, that should be the long-term objective if that's the wishes, and if not, then you have to do a donation. So we have a motion to approve the budget as you have in front of you, with an addition of $350,000 donation to the conference center. Do I hear a motion and a second? Do we have a second? So you can get to the discussion and amend the motion, or do we just not? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Now we can open the floor up for discussion. Does anybody want to amend the motion for the budget? Okay. Hearing none, let's vote, please. vote is 2 and 3 nay and 1 abstain. And it's Alderman Threet. So the budget fails. I guess we'll kick it back to Budget and Finance and go at it again unless there's a new motion to be made. Hearing none, let's move on to new business, please.
New business, Bowman Committee and Commission assignments.
So under that, Alderman French has resigned from the Safety Committee and from Recreation and the IS Committee. And so do you guys want to address these individually, or do you want to hear my recommendations and vote on them all at once? Anyway, all at once? So my recommendations for safety is Alderman Parsley. My recommendations for the Rec Center is Vice Mayor Messick. And the IT Committee, we're not going to appoint anybody at this time. Or IS, I guess is the correct answer. So we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Is everybody asked okay to serve? Donnie, Mark, you guys okay? All right, let's call the vote, please. Motion passes 6-0. Yeah. Any comments? If not, we can adjourn. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll comment. If you're elected to this board, you're elected to make a vote, specifically on the budget. Strategically or not, it's not the way to do things. It's disingenuous. It's a disingenuous use of the abstention. It's not what it's there for. And he knows that because he's a freaking attorney.
Okay. Any more comments? Hear none, we got a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Meeting has ended. We'll do it again on June the 1st or 3rd.